Buzz TV. It's a fun day for us, and it's a great day because we got a hold of Zoli from Ocean Hills. Hey, Zoli, how you doing today?
I'm great. How you doing, brother?
Oh, this is a great thing. Now, for us, we were lucky, got an advance copy of their new CD, their debut CD, Santa Monica, and I'm going to tell you, my friend, I really fell in love with this right from the get-go. In
Right
fact,
on.
the track I'm kind of hooked on right now is Vampire. Um, so that's, I play the album, but I'm constantly re-looping that one. So let me ask a few questions. From what I read, a lot of this was recorded in Hungary. Am I correct?
Well, it was written. So I was in a bunch of different bands, different genres of music. Right. I grew up with rock and roll metal, but then I kind of went into the punk. I went into the punk and hardcore scene for a long time. But I was always writing songs on the side from just my natural roots. I've always been a big fan of Boston, of Journey, Aerosmith. I like a singer that can really sing. Iron Maiden, that kind of thing, right? Scorpions, and so I've always wanted to write this album. And this album, most of it was written 20 years ago, but I never had the backbone or I was always focusing on other things to put this thing out. And so I finally said, you know what, I'm going to put out this album just to put it out because I've always wanted to write like rock songs with 3 guitar leads and 8-minute long songs and just do what I want to hear. I've always tried to write music I don't hear on the radio, and I want to hear classic rock on the radio, kind of. Like, I want to write new classic rock kind of a feel, right? And so, we recorded it in my grandmother's house in Hungary because I saw how Rick Rubin recorded in this mansion in L.A.,
Right.
and then I went to other recording studios, and I'm like, dude, they built a house inside the studio to where the walls are thick and the floor is wooden and the sand underneath the floor and the acoustics. And my grandmother's house is 200 years old. The walls are 2 feet thick, 2.5 feet thick. The floors are wooden. There's sand underneath the house. And there's super high ceilings. And I have a ton of clothes and stuff that we put against the windows. And I brought the whole studio in there. And man, it was one of the best sounding albums I've ever written because the actual house was built for almost recording. But it wasn't built for that, but the acoustics were amazing in it. And so we did the whole album at my grandmother's house in Hungary. And it was awesome because I was there for 3 months. I left 2 times because I said, I'm not leaving this house. I'm not going out to dinner. I'm not going to go to any party, nothing, until I've done the best I possibly could because this is my last shot at music. And that's how the album came out the way it came out. I'm really proud of it. I really love this album.
No,
I really love it.
it really is from top to bottom. This thing really kicks ass, and you have some great players on the album, which is a good thing because half the time that's the battle is finding the right players. So let me ask, with the players in the band, are they Hungarian or are they based here in the States? Where did you find the guys?
There's 2 Hungarian guys. The session guys we got were Hungarian dudes. So the whole recording process was Hungarian, but the band is half and half. Half American dudes, half Hungarian guys. Because I use different session drummers for different feels and different vibes. The guitarist, there's this guy named Peter Lucas, and he's Hungarian. And I saw him play, and I just got off tour when I was singing for the band Pennywise. We were playing this big festival in Australia, and one of the headliners was Slash. And I watched Slash play, and then about 2 months later, I'm in Hungary, and I see this guy, Peter Lucas, play. I'm like, geez, he reminds me the same kind of vibe, the same kind of feels. Let's go, plays a little, not always just shredding like Bumblebee Shredder, but one of the best, like, feeling and vibe guitarists, and I bugged the crap out of him. I'm like, listen, I got to play with you, man. And so he is my right-hand man on stage, Peter Lucas. And then we have this other guy named Danny Keys, who's a fantastic pianist, and he's a songwriter. We wrote a bunch of songs with him, and Joe Slave, and all these crazy names. But there's been times I played in a lot of great bands, amazing bands, very, very lucky, my whole background. But I've never been blown away by musicians as I am on this band. We were playing a show in Austria, and I look over and I start watching Peter play. His name's Pekka, play a song, And I forgot that I'm singing and I'm on stage, and I started watching them because I'm such a big fan of great musicians. And I forgot where I was, and they're all looking at me. I'm like, what? Like, oh yeah, and I started singing the song.
That's it. I'm a singer.
Because these dudes are so good, and it's great to be like the weakest link of the chain. You know, it's my grandmother's house we're in, and it's my songs, and they'd kick me out of the room because I'm trying to like overdo the song and make it perfect, whatever that means, and they'd kick me out a lot of times. They'd be like, get out of here, let the musicians do the work. You're just a stupid singer, you know. And it was great because I'd be all pissed off, and I'd come back and I'd hear it, and I'm like, wow, that's a way better idea than I had. You know what I mean?
You know,
so it.
No, it turned out great. I really, really understand where you're coming from. Now, here's one. Being the band's kind of half and half, when things kind of turn around in the world for all of us, do you think you might play states, or is it kind of like we have to go to Europe, or we go, you know, because you have the band kind of split up? I know that's a tough thing.
Well, the Scorpions got big in like Asia first. Right?
Exactly.
They weren't given a chance. Stray Cats got big in London first. You know, you don't know. I don't care. I can change Turkish money over at the airport. I don't care.
Oh, no.
I don't care where we gotta go. You know what I mean? We'll go wherever it is, and then what we do is we meet somewhere in the middle, either LA or Budapest, and we'll practice for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks solid. Have a concert just to get one under our belt and start touring. But the cool thing about these dudes is that they're not like, since again I'm the worst musician in the band, they already know their shit. They don't forget their chops. They don't forget their licks. These guys practice all the time. And if you watch guys like Slash, he practices every day. You know, Tiger Woods, even when he was at the top of his game, was practicing after every weekend he'd be practicing. So the guys that really want it, the guys that are really good, are always working on their craft. So the cool thing about it with these guys is that I'm like, hey guys, let's do a quick live session, and they got it like that. And I had to have the lyrics in front of me because I'm not the fucking sharpest tool in the shed. And I'm like reading the lyrics while these guys are already nailing the parts. I'm like, wow, you guys really know your stuff. You know, coming from punk rock, where the focus on hardcore wasn't really musicianship as much, to go into this is like, they're like almost like opera musicians, where they transpose on the fly. It's about the actual tunings and the D minor sevenths and all this really cool stuff, and I love it. I got lucky, when you live in LA, I was eating dinner and I saw Steven Tyler, and I bugged him. He was super cool, and I sat next to him and stuff, and we were talking about how hard it was to get a record deal back then. He said there was like 30 bands in America, man. And he's like, we had to be the best singer, the best drummer, the best guitarist, the best songs, the best moves, the for anybody to show up. And I kind of wanted a band like that where everyone was phenomenal.
I really understand because I'm a child of that generation. Going back to when you brought up the Scorpions, I think the first time I saw them was they opened for Ted Nugent Love Drive when they started to break in the States. I grew up in the Valley. I moved into North Hollywood in '69. So I know the scene and I know all of that history well. And myself personally, I'm a guy that loves, 70s and 80s rock and roll. That's what I cut my teeth on when I started playing. It was all of that style of music. And I definitely understand that's what it was back then. Now it's a little different, of course, with technology, and there's a billion bands everywhere, but it still comes down to the same principle. You have to be good, you have to be hungry, and you have to really want it, because it's not going to magically just find its way somewhere. And I think it's actually harder today than maybe back then, just because you're fighting through so much garbage to get out there, to be heard, to find a way to be seen, because there's no label that's going to do it anymore. They're not going to market you. If they do, it's kind of half-assed. You really have to find that niche and that hole to do it yourself. But guys like you that have a great product out there, people are going to find it, love it. And for us, it's you guys really need to listen to this and give it a fair listen. And once you do, you're going to be clicking that buy button. We know that because we're just playing it over and over. Talking the way you did, I'm kind of hoping there is going to be maybe a couple U.S. shows, or at least L.A., because for us being based in Vegas, it'll take us a heartbeat to drive there and actually get some live video of it. We really love the stuff. Now, changing gears a little bit, because you're so multi-talented, you've also done some work in some films. Now, it was funny, the reason I want to bring it up, we were just talking to someone else that did something in the Terminator series, and you were doing the Dark Fate one. Where in the series, is that the latest one, Dark Fate?
It's a small role. When he comes in when he comes in where his cages are, where everyone's in the cages.
Right.
I'm the, it was a way bigger role, but they write these long pieces for you, then they cut them. They cut them so that you can fit everything in a 2-hour movie. So, most movies are like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. And then they cut where they can to get it so that it flows. So they cut a bunch of my lines out, which is all right. But I'm like the guard, the head sergeant when he walks in to try to kill that lady in one of the cages. It's a very small piece.
Oh, it's okay.
But, yeah, that's why I got this mustache. So I'm supposed to be in a movie today in the Maldives, shooting a fucking big movie. I was gonna make like 30 grand. And thank you, COVID, for 2000. Because this year, I had like 4 movies lined up. And I was going to make like $500,000. And it's funny, man. Don't make any plans, because it's hurting, because I know I'd be in the Maldives right now shooting a action movie. And I'm like a 60s dad that turns into a rogue cop. It was a big part of it.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, I just did the Alienist, the TV show The Alienist. I had a little part in that as well, just like, but whatever, I don't care. I was funny. I come to set, put the makeup on, and you read for something, and then usually you get another part right there, because they don't, for some reason, we have to have it so, because of technology, they don't want anybody putting up the parts and having anybody know anything about your scene before you shoot it, right? So I get this part as a what do you call it, reporter. So they're putting my makeup on, and I'm reading my new scenes, and because I was supposed to be an airline, I'm usually like a CIA or FBI guy. So I'm always a cop for some reason, because they shave my head and they give me like a buzz cut. I'm always like this mean cop. But this time I'm a reporter, and I see him. I go, Ted Levin is my dude. I'm working with Ted Levin. I go, dude, that's the guy in Silence of the Lambs. I go, is that the dude from Silence of the Lambs? Buffalo Bill? They're like, yeah. I'm like, fuck! And I start freaking out, because I love that movie, right? So I see him, and I'm like, hey, Ted, I'm Zoli. I'm working. I mean, when you're seeing these, how you do? Go, I'm a fucking huge fan, dude. I'm so stoked. And most actors don't do that, right?
Right.
But I'm not really an actor. I'm just this guy that, got lucky. And I was like, dude, I'm such a huge fan. And he was kind of backed up at first, but after a while, we were like best friends. We were just talking shit, because in between our scene, we would be like, kind of, you could hear each other, and we had these little things, and making fun of everything and just talking about history. And the dude was so rad. And I got to spend the day with that guy and hear all the stories about how some lady sent him a big chunk of skin from herself. She cut out a big piece of skin and stapled it to a thing and framed it and sent it to him, that this is my skin if you want to make. And he just has this story on story on story. And that's the Alienist coming out. So I got lucky, because I got a chance to start doing movies. And, being from a small town in Hungary, you say yes to anything, to any kind of work. 2 weeks ago, I was cutting fire lines up in Northern California. We were working with CAL FIRE because of those fires that were coming.
Right.
And right now, as an unemployed musician and actor, I'll say yes to whatever. I cut a lady's lawn a couple of days ago and cut back her bushes. Whatever puts food on the table, dude. I got bills to pay.
Hey, I'm the same way. I've been sitting in the house since March. I work in a showroom here in Vegas, so my showroom's still sitting dark. And I'm the same way. Whatever it takes, we're doing this, we'll do that.
You got a family to feed, bro. You go say yes to any kind of work.
Hey, I'm buying PlayStations, pre-ordering at midnight tomorrow, so I can sell them on eBay and make a quick $400 or $500 a pop. I'm the same way. The kids got to eat, and they don't care where you're getting food from. But just to shift back real quick to that Terminator thing, we just shot another artist, and he did something in the last Terminator movie. I think he was killed, one of the security guards killed in a shack or something. But that's why I brought it up, because it seems
It's
like
probably the same scene as me.
that's what I'm saying. Bald Man.
Cool, dude.
Let's see. Bald Man is his stage name. Obviously, he's a bald guy, but
right when he came in, they checked him for weapons, and then he starts killing everybody.
Something like that. I don't know the scene. He just told me what it was, but I was just going, wait a second. You guys probably knew each other on the set somehow, and that sort of thing. It truly is a small world. So Zoli, let me ask you probably one of the most important questions I could ask, because we've talked about a bunch of stuff. What might we have left out about Ocean Hills and the debut Santa Monica album that they need to know about? In fact, where can we get it? If I want to buy it, where am I going to get it? Is it at iTunes, CD Baby, the normal places, or are we going to your website or the label's website?
The label's website, it's on Amazon. You can pre-order it on Amazon. It comes out November 27th.
Perfect.
The album is this, okay? If you like any of my prior bands, Misfits, Pennywise, Ignite, any of that stuff, you're not going to like this. But your uncle, the dude who is kind of embarrassing at Thanksgiving, the dude that's short on top and party in the back, that guy's going to love this. Because it's like 8-minute songs. It's like 2-3 guitar solos. It's like triple harmony vocals. It's written in my mind, for the plumber in New Jersey that just got home. He's having troubles with the old lady. He's got bills to pay, and he just wants to forget about his job. And he puts in he hears this song on the radio or has it on CD or whatever, and he's jamming home in his van, and he forgets his problems because of the bitchin' guitar solos in it. And then it changes over to there's like an Alice in Chains kind of vibe, because I love them. And I try to put in all these different feels. Like I did this song called Budapest My Love. It's kind of a Queen vibe. And then it goes over to acoustic stuff. And then it's, I wrote a bunch of songs back in the day with my other bands. It was about World War II. It was about politics. It was about overcoming hardships and all this stuff. And this really famous, gnarly musician said, Zoli, what are you writing this album about? And I started telling him all these. He said, no, man. He goes, write it about love. He goes, there's two paths to take in life. And every morning you get to choose which one you want. You want fear, envy, jealousy, scared of not going to get what I want, scared of losing what I'm going to have, me, or love. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to write this song about love, because a lot of times in my other bands, as a real singer, you got to get off the stage and really, really relive those lyrics every day, right? And so after a show, I would take me about an hour to have this emotional hangover. After I get off the show with Ocean Hills, it's about partying and fun and rock and roll and just good times, and about being in love with women, and just the whole thing that when I used to be young, that's what I would look forward to, right? And I would feel good after the shows. And this is the first time in my life I really put a CD in, and it takes me different places. It's not the same level. It's like all these weird different songs, acoustic and mellow and rock and roll and blah, 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 blah. And like I told everybody, I want this album to be people's soundtracks to their lives. I want this album to be where you put it in, and it reminds you when I was 17 driving my VW bus down to go surfing, down in San Clemente, and I would always have this broken tape player, and I had this tape in there, and it was a Scorpions tape, and I had and every time I hear those songs, I remember going surfing when I was a kid, right? And that's what I want. I want this thing to do really well, and to just get to your average person, your soccer mom. It's an older crowd that's going to like this, 40, 50, 60-year-olds. That's what we're shooting for. An older crowd that wants to hear songs that they recognize, that it's put together like the songs that they need from the 70s. But if no one likes this album, right, the most important thing for me as a musician, I love this album. I listen to it every single day. And that's why I'm so stoked about it, because I wrote it for me, and I wrote it for what I want to hear. And I don't know if you're an artist or whatever you are, when you finish a painting, maybe some people don't understand it, but if you love that painting, then you nailed it. You know, you got a home run, and I got a home run with this album because I listen to it every single day. I don't have to pitch it. I'm not a used car salesman. You know what I mean? This thing rocks. It kicks ass. I love it, and I hope I just gotta find the people that are missing this kind of music in their lives, and that's the hard part. Is because Instagram is for really young people, people that have jobs and are stressing about paying the bills. They're having a hard time paying the bills, not looking for new bands. Somehow I gotta get and find my fan base, which is people that like Boston, people that like Journey, people that like Soundgarden, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh no,
That's a-
you know, and that's where I fit in. That's probably one of the reasons I really love this CD. But you know, something, believe it or not, and mind you, it takes a little bit of work. But I tell it to bands all the time. Believe it or not, it's still college radio. People look at me and go, college radio. I go, look, college radio. The kids that are running it, their goal is to be on air. Every three or four.
Radio.
Yeah, every 3 or 4 hours, there's a different genre. So let's just say we're going to Syracuse. I'm just pulling a college out of, or USC. We're based out of LA. So you go to USC or UCLA, you find their college radio station, you figure out where your music plays and wherever their time demographic is for what DJs, running the slot that plays your music, and you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm so-and-so with this band, and, hey, check out our CD or whatever. But more important, I'd love to come on air and do an interview with you. The kids would love to talk to someone. It gives them, they get to chop up on their interview skills. Now you've became friends with them versus just some guy who's throwing a product at them to say, play my music. They get your stuff on air. And now you're looking at college radio. Kids are going to listen, people around the college, because it's not just on-air college. I'm living in Vegas. They use 91.5 KUNV, and I hear it at the house. So you're always checking that. But this way, they like you. They're going to push your stuff more. When you're out on tour and you're going to towns, it's another way to see where you're hot. Hey, if this station's playing my stuff, we know we have a little bit of a base here. We could call in. We could do more one-on-ones with them, build the base, let them know we're coming, a backdoor way to promote it. A lot of people still forget about college radio and go, no, that's where the kids are, and they're hungry.
Great idea.
So I'd say do some homework on some of the, the bigger universities and reach out to them, and they'll be more than happy, because they love talking to people. And you have stories left and right. If it's not just from music, from your acting world and everything else, these kids would just love to talk to you in general. So
that's great idea, because I think that's how Dave Matthews Band got big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's how they got so popular, is because people started listening to them in college. And that's a great idea, because there's a booking agency, I forget the name of them, that only books college shows. And all you do is play one college after the other. And colleges have enough money so that you can play there, and get a tour bus and stay in a hotel. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Dying and struggling. So that's a great idea. Thank you, man. I totally forgot about that.
No,
that's a great idea.
It's my pleasure. I try to throw it out to people all the time because, again, it's so hard to find that niche. It's like, well, I could throw it on Facebook, but there's 10 million people on Facebook. Who's going to see my feed? I'm not going to pay to promote it because that's a joke. So there's a million social networks, but how do you make yourself stand out? It's just so tough these days. So I'm always looking outside of the box now. Even if we're going back maybe 10, 20 years of what we used to do, there's still angles that we could get out there that people forgot about that'll make us still stand out a little.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man. That's awesome. I'm gonna do that. That's my homework tonight. Then I'm gonna nail this thing.
Ah, perfect.
91.5. I'm gonna get a list of all the college radios and the numbers. I'm gonna start nailing them.
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
Anytime. So, hey, Zoli, before we wrap this up, we have a fun little game we like to play called Roll the Bones. Generally, when we do it live, I have a 30-sided dice, and we have 30 pre-selected questions. I think 4 or 5 of them even deal with music. Since we're in a Skype world, if you are up for playing, basically you're just going to pick a number between 1 and 30. I'm going to read you the question, and we'll go from there.
Was this like Dungeons and Dragons or something?
Oh, no, it's more like, it's almost like word association. Some questions would be based around word association in a sense. But the But the dice definitely comes from Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's do number 30.
Okay, we'll go right to 30, and 30 is... Okay, this could be fun and different. Who do you really hate the most?
Dude.
You can pick another one, because I know you're full of love and you don't have hate in your heart.
Hate, okay, so the other side of love is not hate, it's apathy, right?
Okay.
If you really don't give a shit about somebody, I'm sorry, you allowed to cuss on the show?
Oh, of course.
You don't give a shit about somebody, you don't hate them. Because if you hate them, you still have feelings for them, right?
Okay.
So, who do I really hate in this world? It would be Stalin,
Okay.
Mao Zedong, Pol Pot, Hitler. What the fuck were they on this earth for? But just to do the devil's work. Millions upon millions upon millions of people suffered, died, struggled. And if I could say hate, those 4 people I fucking hate.
That's a great answer, man. That really is. I've never heard that one, but it truly makes the most sense. I love that. Now, I want to play around, but I know all the questions, so I'll let you pick a number for me.
15.
15. 15 is, okay, if a penguin with a sombrero on walked through the door right now, what would he say? Fucking A, that's Zoli!
I thought it was weird, like esoteric joke. The fish or something, the orange.
Oh, believe me, I've had...
Motorcycles.
Well, some people have came up with some really strange answers too, but I figured if he walked in right now, he'd see me sitting here in front of a TV and go, holy shit, that's Zoli! Believe me, we have some that are a whole lot more fun, and some that are bland.
I rescue pelicans. I've been rescuing pelicans since 1984, and I have a non-profit called Pelican Rescue Team, and we go up and down Southern California.
Right.
And we go out in the ocean. We look for them because people beat them, they shoot them, they stab them, they rip their wings off.
Really?
Really, really mean to them. Yeah. So any pelican questions you can throw my way.
You know, it's funny because I would never think people are just assholes like that to birds, just to be assholes. And again, as I said, I grew up there, so it's just sad that now, you know, it seems like it's deteriorated to the lowest common denominator in some areas. Well,
let's go out and rescue one day, dude. Come on, we'll do one of your podcasts out there. It's bitching, bro, because when you're out in the ocean, it's Bob Barker bought me this boat. I met him at a party. I bugged the shit out of him, and he finally calls me and goes, "Mr. Teglis, I'm going to buy you that boat." And he bought me a boat and a van, and we go out to the oceans and we patrol up and down the coasts, and then we'll pick up 10, 15, 20 pelicans, cut the line off of them, you know, maybe stitch them up real fast, give them a little vitamin B12 shot, send them on their way. And so when you're out there all day doing this, and you got pelican shit all over you, and you've helped on cormorants, and you've saved a couple animals' lives, and the energy from the electricity from the water and the sun hitting down on you, man, you won't be depressed for a week. You won't have a bad day for a week. It's amazing.
Oh,
it's kind of like, you know, giving back. So if you ever want to do that, I go every week. Up and down the coast. You just let me know, and I'll come pick you up, and we'll go do it.
Oh, I'll definitely do that. I will take you up on that offer because that's something I love to do. I actually, back in the day, and again, this is back in the 80s because it burned down, I lived in the Malibu colonies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was before they had a huge fire, I think. Burned to Agora, jumped the 101, burned down to PCH, jumped PCH, and burned all the Malibu colonies up. So I know they've been rebuilt since I lived there. But, you know, as I said, that's my world. I definitely love it and miss it, and to hear stuff like that just tears me up. You know, what do we have, 7 animals here, and they're all rescues of one sort or another. So we really care. We really care. So I'll definitely be taking you up on that, and somewhere down the road, you guys will see some video of us doing that out there in the water, and take care of them. Because I think, you know, especially guys like you get it. You give back, and you don't give back because you give back just because that's what you do. And there's too few people like you out there that get it. So I definitely want to give you, you know, mad props to that. You don't have to do it. You're not getting paid to do it. You're not getting mad publicity from doing it. You're not spinning the publicity to make a profit from doing it. You're doing it because you actually care and give a shit, and that's the best reason to do it, is from your heart. So
Well,
I'm
Mother
definitely going to
Teresa's-
take you up.
Mother Teresa's dead, so it's up to us now. You know what I mean? It's like it's I like you said, pay it forward. I've been given the gifts to live in two different countries. I've seen and lived under communism, and I've lived under capitalism. I've got to go back and forth, see two different worlds. I've been on stage. I've done movies. I have all this stuff, dude. My family is healthy, so that means we're on the lottery right there. And I have to give back, especially when stuff is out of my control, when the Middle East is on fire and all these people are getting bombed and stuff. I go out and rescue pelicans. When something's horrible going on in politics, I go out and rescue pelicans. When, stuff, because that's the only way I can give back. That's my focus. That's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? And it's I do music and I rescue animals. That's my deal. That's where. And then all of a sudden, if the bank account is on fumes, I get paid back tenfold, 10 different ways, where all of a sudden it all works out. And I think it's because it's the law of attraction, right? I have this. It always reminds me this thing, law. This is the law of gravity, right? But this here is the law of attraction, right? And it's a real law. What you put out in the universe will come back to you, and the universe will let you. If you put out shit, it'll give you shit back. It's up to you. It's a daily choice, right? And so if I can go out there and do it, I have the means to do it, I have the boat to do it, I have the finances to do it, I better go do that. It's my job. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it too. And then once you come out with me, you'll see it's like it's shitty, it's gross, it stinks, you're all sweaty and full of bugs, but you come home and take a shower like, that was bitching. You feel good.
It's it, because you actually did something. And the best part was, when you ducked down, I got to see the big pelican behind your shoulder there.
Yeah,
that's it. So that's a great thing. Hey, Zoli, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're not feeling good. I hope you don't have COVID. It's just maybe the flu that's going around. And if you do have it, hopefully it's a very brief and mild thing, because we were talking earlier, I had it. It wasn't fun for me.
Well, thank you.
And as I said, I'm going to take you up on that. I'm definitely going to come out. We're going to go rescue and have some fun with some pelicans. And being covered in bird shit, hell, I live in the desert. I'm covered in all sorts of shit half the time anyway. So that
coyotes, you got a lot of coyotes. I love coyotes.
We have coyotes, and in fact, at one time I owned one of my dogs was half coyote. And the really cool thing about this was, I got her from a buddy of mine, and when they were all pups, they lived right next to a golf course. The mom dug a hole under the chain link fence, took all the pups on the golf course, taught them how to hunt and eat rabbit. And the reason I know this, because a couple of weeks after I got my dog, I had to get her dewormed from the wild rabbit she ate. But I love coyotes as well. It's sad because Vegas is so built up. They've encroached on so much of their areas. That they come into the household areas and people freak out, and I'm like, just lock your animals up.
Listen,
this is their neighborhood.
Cats kill 14 billion animals a year. It's not their fault, but they're little murderers. They go out at night to murder things, right?
Exactly.
That's just how they are, right? So if you don't want a coyote to eat your cat, leave him in the house.
Exactly.
Because cats have I think 12 different species of animals that they made extinct because the house cat killed them. So it's an even trade. If your cat's out there trying to kill something and it gets taken by a coyote to feed its family, if you want your cat not to get killed by a coyote, put him in the fucking house.
Exactly. Or your little dogs. Because people will do that with their little dogs, let them out at night, not understand if he's in the backyard after dark, you might just get snatched, so you have to be on top of that if you're in a coyote neighborhood. If you're in the middle
I got cornered by 3 wolves, man, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, and they stopped, and they looked at me, and there were 3 males, and they could have destroyed me, and they had this wild look in their eyes to where I didn't know what to do, so I'm like, how you guys doing? And they looked at me with this, I've never seen that wild before in an animal's eyes, where they could easily just fucking rip me in pieces, and they went along their way because they're not into killing things for no reason. Like there's a purpose. And in LA, they tried to wipe out all the coyotes. Guess what happened? We got inundated with fruit rats. Everyone had rats in their walls. We had snakes. We had rabbits eating everything. And they're like, oh, we missed the coyotes. They're there for a reason.
Exactly.
So don't worry about them. They're good animals. They eat like 3 times their weight in rodents. So they're okay. Trust me.
Oh, I know.
You want coyotes in your backyard.
Exactly. Zoli, again, I appreciate everything. We're coming out there. We're going to do the penguin thing.
Let's do it.
But I definitely want you to get some rest and heal up quick. So,
all right, man. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I really appreciate all the help and the love you have for the album. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's great. So remember, Ocean Hills, the new album, the debut album, Santa Monica. There's links in the description. You'll be able to pick it up. You'll get to Zoli's website, the band's website, everything you need. As soon as we can do some tour dates, we're going to catch up with them, get the live stuff. You're going to get the video of me getting covered in bird shit, but we're going to save some pelicans.
Let's do it.
So for myself,
by that time, I'll have the paperwork so we can jump in after whales, and if they're dragging line, we can cut them free. So we'll do a little scuba diving too.
Oh, dude, I'm definitely down for that one.
All right, good.
And in fact, we'll talk later about some other stuff that I think you might want to have some fun with. But for myself, for Zoli, for Ocean Hills, and for Buzztv, we're out of here, guys.
Yeah,
see ya.
Thank you, guys.